It's 6:45. If you're watching the time, you're watching Morning Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Something that's sure to give you goosebumps this morning. This is what I'm talking about. South African poet laureate Professor Gorabetse and his Jamaican counterpart, poet laureate Professor Emeritus Mervyn Morris, will this evening host a poetry reading session at the National Library in Pretoria. The two cultural ambassadors have achieved a string of accolades in their lifetimes, and tonight they will be using their craft to celebrate 20 years of democracy in South Africa and 20 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations with Jamaica. Now, here in studio, we're joined by Professor Gorabetse. Very good morning to you, Ntate. Presence here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning to your viewers.
Thank you so much. Ntate, how your creative work has just been able to capture the life and times of South Africans all these years?
Well, I'm not sure if it has done it successfully, but I would say I've tried my best as a cadre of the liberation movement, as an observer and a participant, and as how would I say, as an imaginative or creative explorer, and trying to bring that back using language. Yeah.
How did you manage to marry all those different words or worlds, academia, politics, creativity of poetry? How did you manage to strike a balance?
Well, we all have 24 hours a day, ideally. And I think it's just a question of how we budget our time in terms of what we are convinced would make our lives meaningful and socially relevant.
This partnership that you have with your Jamaican counterparts, what brought it about?
Well, as you know, Jamaica is part of the diaspora, right? And we have had diplomatic relations with Jamaica since the beginning of the new South Africa, so it's 20 years. But before then, also, Jamaican writers and writing have played a part in influencing some of us. I would say, for instance, in my generation, which is Mervyn Morris's generation also, I had close working relationships with our fellow poets. If I mention, for instance, two that I spent a lot of time with, is Lindsay Barrett and Libet Bethune. And I think we significantly mutually influenced each other.
I love the collaboration. I can't wait to actually see what will come about of it, especially since I feel that many times as South Africans, we can be very isolated and keep ourselves to ourselves and forget about the diaspora, as you speak, about our brothers and sisters in various parts of the globe. It's important to have a mixed masala, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very important, but also, that chauvinistic little gazing at the navel. It's a kind of dangerous narrow-mindedness, because if we had any clear idea of the struggle that brought us to 94, we would know that the whole world was involved.
I couldn't agree with you more.
We'd learn to respect
Yeah, yeah.
Other people.
I second that. But I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to read one of your poems that I stumbled upon. This is one of your body of works, a collection from 2006, but I think it still rings true today. We're a very musical people in South Africa. And this particular poem, ironically, you've dedicated to one poet from Jamaica. So it's entitled, I Am Music People. And as we end this interview, I'm going to ask you, Ntate, if you can read it for us, please.
Thank you. Actually, you know, it is interesting because this is an old poem. It's probably around 40, 50 years old. A music people for Lindsay Barrett. Names, songs, places we only remember in the blood like ever-present melodies. Names, like places, are concrete like a song, perhaps even deeper than the eye, for our images remember more than white whips. Malcolm, the mover and the moved, Malik, a monumental name, strong thrust of our movement as our fire, like train, burns a concrete song. Names give birth to people in places anytime. Lindsay, it is a veritable song, this song you sing, full of blood and larger than desire. Keep singing, brother. It is a cleansing, this song, showing us our flute and flame to give birth to a people singing our name as concrete as places, and a song steeped in blood, the only gateway to our place under the sun.
Oh my goodness.
Thank
Ntate
you.
Raleboga, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I think it's so important when we have the likes of Ntate Khositsile with us to make sure that we glean from his years of experience, from his wisdom, from the age, from, you know, when you see men of gray beards, it's like a silver lining that you and I should really pay attention. We would do well to do that. Ntate Raleboga, thank you so much. It's a blessing to have you with us in studio.
Thank you.
Oh, there you have it. It's very difficult to carry on. I feel like Andile, Ubaba Wet is in the studio today. We should salute him with a beautiful, beautiful weather update like you always do.